In, it always feels like when we press that button, I'm talking to everyone who's just walked in, by the way. We press the button to open the webinar, and I always imagine I imagine these hordes of people behind a big wooden gate. And we sort of take off the barrier and everyone comes flooding in. Hi, everybody. How are you doing? How are you doing? How are you doing? Let's hear something in the chat. I'm going to warm it up. I'm going to be first. Hi there. Oh, I'm not first. Ioana. Welcome. Hey, everybody. Hey, everybody. Nice to see you. Let's kick it off with I'm in Cambridge, and why don't you tell me what you were doing just before this? What were you doing just before? And I just ate lunch. It was soup. What were you doing just before this? Yoga, Sylvia. You're having a very productive afternoon. Teaching a class. I think you're not going to be alone there. Sitting in the teacher's room. Good. Nice. Having your dinner. Lovely. Keep it coming. I want to see more. Also, feel free to say where you are, where you're from. I think we're probably going to have quite a wide, it's sort of the middle of the day in the UK, middle of the day. So it's usually sort of people in Asia and the Americas, and sort of everyone in between can come to this afternoon session. So great to see you all. Thanks for coming. Brand new event, exciting stuff. So I'm going to quickly tell you a little bit about what is happening in the event after I've said a couple of other things. Wait a sec. There we go. Keep it coming, keep chatting, warm up your fingers. It does help to start the chat now. If you want to start sort of getting involved in the chat and everything, do start saying things now. So the question is, what were you doing just before this event started? What have you just come from? Pilates at 7 a.m. in Mexico, Patricia. Wow. Uncle Jack just woke up. Brilliant. Uncle Jack. Is that your first name? Good stuff. Okay, new voices. Look at those faces. That's the day. We've already actually done one today. We had one this morning, and it was amazing. It was 5 fantastic talks. You're privileged, actually. You get to see 2 of the ones that have already been delivered. And you've got 3 more as well this afternoon. We're also doing it again later on, where we'll have Boella and Melita again. We'll be delivering later, and we'll also have 3 new talks this evening as well. Much later, it's 10:30 UK time. The 3rd session runs to today. So if you want to, you can still register for that one as well. They're kind of each of the 3 have got different sessions. So if you want to see the whole lot, if you want the whole collection, if you want to get the whole stamp book stamped, then register for this evening session as well if you want to. And I think we're also on Facebook and LinkedIn. So hi everyone on Facebook and LinkedIn at the same time as well. Okay. I'm not going to chit chat. I do chit chat too much. So I'm going to move on straight away. So Young Learners Festival. We've got 3 events coming up. This is the first of 3 that's happening after New Voices. So the first week of November, the 4th to the 8th of November, we've got a brand new event, the Young Learners Festival. If you're a teacher of young learners, this is obviously going to be more of interest to you. That's where all of the talks are aimed at. So we're looking at things like social emotional learning, assessment in the young learners classroom. We're also looking at how to sort of covertly teach exam preparation skills as well, and so on and so on. MacmillanEnglish.com, you can find out all of the program and you can register now. So please do go and take a look at that. Connecting Teens Day is the 2nd. There's a trend. We've got young learners, we've got teens. I'll see if you can guess the 3rd one. The 2nd is a Teens Day, so Connecting Teens Day. And that event is all about helping teens bond in class, helping create a cohesive sort of social space to learn in, as well as helping teens deal with emotions, sort of pubescent emotions. So sort of 9 to 12-year-olds, sort of the big emotions that come of that period of life, and how you as a teacher can respond to that in the classroom and help your learners navigate that tricky period. And finally, Educating Adults Day, with 3 brand new speakers actually to the academic program. I can't wait to work with them. So we're talking about things like teaching online. We've got a whole session which is all about teaching online. And we've got another session which talks about 3 specific tools in AI which will make your teaching life easier and better. But specifically, we're looking at how these specific tools will actually help you with your time as a teacher. Anyway, you can register now for all three of those. I think the links are in the chat box now. macmillanenglish.com, basically, macmillanenglish.com, and you'll find them pretty easily. So do go and take a look. Okie dokie. Oh, yes. And within a week, you're going to get an email from us, which will have your certificate in it and also a virtual goodie bag with the recordings from the day. So you can actually see all of the 11 sessions in that virtual goodie bag as well, if you want to watch them back again and again, if you want to. And also you'll get a certificate of attendance as well in that email. If you're watching on Facebook and LinkedIn, we can't email this to you because we don't know who you are. So if you want to get those bits and bobs, that stuff, then you can go to macmillanenglish.com, and I think you can actually still register for this now if you want to. And this is our day. This is what we've got to look forward to. So today's sessions are going to take about an hour and a half to 2 hours, that sort of time. We've got 5 sessions to get through. They're all 15 minutes, strictly. Jane? No, only joking. So they're all 15 minutes. Bola, I'm looking at you, actually. They're 15 minutes, strictly. And we've got 5 different talks today. So it's going to take about an hour and a half to 2 hours. That's the lineup. I'm not going to read it all out to you. But I will tell you, we've got Jane, Beata, Melita, Christina, and Boello joining us today. And I can't wait for these talks in full. So, talk number 1. Jane Kaskova. Is that right? Yes?
Very warm welcome to my session, and thank you so much for inviting me, Will. It's a big pleasure for me.
Pleasure for us too, Jane. Thanks for coming. So everyone's seen your bio up here. So you're a teacher trainer at EF Teach Online. You do it's by our chat that we just had, very similar job to me, actually, sort of organizing teacher training events and conferences and that sort of thing. You represented your country in the World Economic Forum, and you've had brekkie with Bill Gates. Care to explain a little bit more about that, Jane?
Yes, I was really happy just to be invited to the World Economic Forum event in Davos 2017. And like it happens like when you are the part of the Global Shapers community, which is absolutely awesome movement for young leaders.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, like I had this amazing opportunity and chance to be invited to breakfast with Bill Gates and other inspirational leaders, and we had this amazing opportunity to talk about technology, education, and many other topics, which was really great.
Amazing. So do we have you to thank for Microsoft 365? Is that due to that?
I don't know.
All right. Thanks, Jane. Have a great talk, everyone. I'll see you in about 15 minutes.
Thank you. All right. Let me share my screen. Give me a moment, please. All right. Guess you can see that.
Yes.
All right. Fantastic. Hi, everyone, and a very warm welcome to this talk. Today, you will learn in this 15-minute session what is microlearning. What is microlearning? How long should it take and why? What are the best moments, how to apply it, when to avoid it, what kind of design principles to use in order to design the microlearning you want to have for your students in the best engagement rate. And at the end of my talk, you'll get a little surprise. And I can reveal the truth now. This surprise is kind of wrapped up talk, and you'll have access to my slides in a pretty convenient format, I guess. Please look at the screen and tell me, is it all you can see in front of you, like TED Talk and YouTube videos, for example, the Word of the Day wiki pages? Is it all microlearning? What do you think? Yes or no? Can we consider that as microlearning? I see the answers coming. Yes, yeah. All right. Yes, you're right. So microlearning, I guess it's a quite relatively new term, coined in 2002 by Dr. Telhak, a professor at the Innsbruck University of Educational Science Studies, in Austria. So Hub defined it as the delivery of learning sessions or activities of shorter duration than traditional teaching delivery. And yes, you're absolutely right. Initially, microlearning was associated with blogs, short videos, or even wiki pages. It involved informal learning contexts compared to more formal and conventional learning opportunities. Since then, attempts to define microlearning have been ongoing. Today, different sources agree that microlearning involves breaking down learning material or existing formal training or piece of lesson into bite-sized pieces of information. So learners can say, complete the online lesson, online learning session during small pockets of time throughout the day in their own time and pace, like today's conference, for example. These short focus microlearning modules or lessons are designed to deliver specific, actionable information in different formats that can be easily consumed and quickly applied to any practices. So I have a question to you. What do you think? How long should microlearning take? Type your answer in the chat, please. 5 minutes? 15, 30 minutes, all right. Okay. We have absolutely different answers from 1 minute to 30 minutes, 20 minutes, 10. Okay, fantastic responses. Thank you so much for that. That was my question too, when I started designing the micro training or micro lessons for the teachers, because I work as a teacher training manager and we have many different teachers all over the world and we design different training for them. And once we designed the formal training, with the time passing by, I noticed that the teachers sometimes, they don't remember the information from the initial training. And that's like, I decided to come up with a kind of a refresher for them, the micro learning module. So they just could refresh the information from the initial training. And I was puzzled like how much it should take, whether it's like 5 minutes, 15, 20, 30 minutes. And I did a little research. So microlearning should take ideally up to 10 or 15 minutes, and here is why. Many teachers believe that online learning isn't going well because students aren't motivated enough or have short attention spans. According to a study by researchers from the Massachusetts Institute of Technology, the online course dropout rate averages around 96%. I was really surprised when I saw this number, which means that the students, they do not actually finish their online course till the very end, if it takes quite a lot of time. Another interesting study, a study from the University of California, Irvine, found that employees work on tasks for about 11 minutes before they're interrupted by a phone call, text message, email, in-person interaction, or any other distractions. Does it resonate with you? Are you interrupted at your work or while teaching someone with a phone call or a message? Say yes or no in the chat. Okay, all right. I guess it's different for different people. All right. So, and then interestingly, that it takes employees an average 25 minutes to return to their original task after an interruption. Independent studies also have shown that microlearning videos are the ideal way to present any content to people. And the University of Rochester looked at the amount of time students spend watching videos of various lengths for online courses. And they've noticed that their attention began to wander if they watch the videos which take longer than 12 minutes. As technology rapidly advances and new skill sets are in demand and professionals must continually upgrade their knowledge to remain competitive in the market, there is another interesting study. The Future of Jobs report by the World Economic Forum indicates that by 2025, about 50% of the workforce will require reskilling. I guess also it can be applicable for different people. Like we constantly need to upgrade ourselves and develop. So microlearning helps people keep up with these new trends and changes in their jobs by providing short and relevant information really quickly. I'd say so-called just-in-time knowledge. So following that, microlearning has the power to address two critical challenges, I guess: shrinking attention spans and changing skill demands. Which benefits does microlearning have for the learners? What do you think? Yes, it can take like up to 15 minutes, but what kind of benefits should it have? Please pop your answers in the chat. There's a refresher, summary of important information. You're absolutely right. Keep your focus, be engaging. Yes, we have lots of really nice benefits that it can bring. First of all, microlearning has lots of benefits, and I guess it's the most effective when teachers or educators or even learners can learn on the go. In the new world of work, where learners may be in the office, fully remote, or some kind of hybrid combination, I guess bite-sized learning becomes really helpful. Like today, we might be in different places, in the office or at home, or where are you now? You can also pop in a chat. But we all have this fantastic access to the conference, to different talks. Also, microlearning solves specific problems. I found out that when the teachers cover existing training, as I mentioned, with the time passing by, they might forget some key points from this initial training. And I guess it's really useful and relevant when you can apply any kind of knowledge, like as a refresher to the teachers once you've designed something. Or alternatively, I guess addressing one or two learning objectives can also help learners to be trained if it's not necessarily a refresher course and you'd like to present any kind of new information. Microlearning is short in time and comfortable in pace because it takes up to 12 minutes, up to 15 minutes, allowing learners to sneak in a learning lesson between their lessons or while waiting at the bus station. And I guess learners can be really, when they have access to this information, I guess at the moment they need it, they can feel really productive and they can feel really empowered to reach their goals. Engaging content, efficient content. We try to develop microlearning, which is engaging, often video-led and highly visual, as it's boosting the chances of maintaining learners' engagement from start to finish. And as soon as you add to your micro lesson, vivid infographics or informative videos, or even thought-provoking articles, I guess you can just make the students' journey really exciting. Better learning retention. As I mentioned, short micro-learning courses are designed to address one or two learning objectives. It allows you to quickly create focused and memorable activities that reinforce the knowledge. And also it reduces the potential of for mental fatigue by focusing the brain to learn one thing quickly, and then you can take a break. I guess it's quite convenient. There is another interesting study. In the mid-80s, Hermann Ebbinghaus became the first person to create a scientific approach to study and classify memory and introduce the world to concepts like the learning curve and forgetting curve. The learning curve says that just 20 minutes after learning something new, retention may drop by 60%. One day after learning, it drops by 30%. And by the time week passes, learners may only retain 25% of what they learned. Ebbinghaus forgetting curve, like you can send the screen, demonstrates that people typically lose 80% of knowledge they learn within a month, which I thought would be quite okay. If my talk is not interesting, you'll forget about it. But actually, statistics like that, I guess, can be a little bit scary for learning professionals because as an educator, as a teacher training manager, you've invested time and resources into your training or into your lesson, planning the micro-learning content. And the last thing you want to have for learners to forget the majority of it. So the question is, how can we reinforce learning effectively so that it truly sticks? And Ebbinghaus remedied the forgetting curve by reciting and rehearsing over and over again in these strategically spaced intervals. I guess if you adopt this approach into your own micro lesson, you'll have lots of benefits. And instead of one and done approach, an ongoing strategic learning program will help learners recall and retain new information for longer periods of time. I guess as powerful as it is, there are times when microlearning isn't the optimal way to get the information across. Learn to distinguish so you can get the best results out of the learning method, yes, but here are a few instances of when not to apply microlearning. That comes, I guess, from my experience. So I guess teaching complex ideas. Let's say if concepts are closely connected, for instance with the exam preparation, it can be hard or even dangerous to break them down into just standalone 50-minute lessons. It can be quite hard and challenging for your students. Or mastering a new topic. If you want learners to gain a deep understanding of a topic, I guess a few, even like 6-minute lessons won't always get them there. For example, learning about teaching grammar takes more in-depth focus, or any abstract ideas or in-depth analysis. So from my point of view, I guess micro lessons are still a powerful approach to learning. Just be sure you're applying them correctly. Save micro learning as a quick reinforcement or just-in-time learning. Let's talk about the design principles of microlearning. I guess if you'd like to design like a really fantastic lesson for your students, you need to think about the content. The content should be really valuable. And I guess we need to use this granular approach, this targeted approach. So this is the what of the micro lesson, the actual topic. And if you aim at the 1 or 2 key objectives into your lesson, micro lesson, you'll benefit and your students will benefit. You should have clear instructional purpose. This is the why of the micro lesson, the reason. So you should ask themselves, why do I need this micro lesson and what do I wish to achieve from it? So this is basically the purpose or the reason for you to develop this specific micro lesson. It can be a summary or the enrichment or clarification of some tricky concepts, or simply as a refresher or review. Appropriate length and structure. This is how of the micro lesson. While it is important to keep a micro lesson short, I guess you need to take into account that it can be sometimes challenging to present the relevant content within a short period of time. So try to approach it in terms of mental complexity. Appropriate timing. This is one of the micro lesson. Instructors, I guess, need to ask themselves when it's better to deliver this specific micro lesson. At the beginning of the day, at the end of the day, by the end of the month. You should just stick to the appropriate timing. Contextually appropriate format. Also consider how the micro lesson should be packed and delivered to your students. Think about multimedia related just decisions at that point, basically. Do you need to make a video or just an infographic or a text-based micro lesson or a Kahoot, for example? You should consider what platform you'd like to use. How can my learners access this particular platform? So the chosen platform should be easily accessible, and it should reduce obstacles like with too much information about the login and name and everything. I guess just a simple one-click link would be the ideal solution. And choice of appropriate interactivity. If developing a micro lesson can be analogous to creating a dish following a recipe, I guess interactivity would be spices that can enhance the flavors of the finished product. So enhance the learning. You can spice up a micro lesson by providing learners with the opportunities to test their understanding of the content by the end of your lesson. So consider adding some practice opportunities to the micro lesson. You can help students to reinforce their knowledge with the pools or quizzes or any other gamification methods. Yeah, I guess microlearning can take different formats, but we need to keep in mind that it should be quite concise and keep in mind covering like 1 or 2 key objectives in order to avoid the fatigue. The duration should be up to 10 or 15 minutes ideally. You can use it as a refresher or address some new information, but it should be quite not in-depth focus. Avoid when presenting complex ideas or new information. Yeah, thank you so much for being with me. As promised, here are my references, by the way, and this is my talk. This is the surprise time. You can scan the QR code on your left and have access to this talk. And on your right, there is my LinkedIn profile. Thank you so much for being with me and for listening to my talk. Thank you.
Thank you, Jane. Absolutely fantastic. Yes, everyone, please do scan those 2 codes to get hold of the talk itself, and also to reach out to Jane if you want to be in contact with her on LinkedIn. Thank you so much, Jane. Really, really interesting. I think this is not the first I've heard of microlearning, but I think in this context, it's going to be so interesting how this is picked up in the next couple of years, I think.
Indeed, yeah.
So we've got a couple of questions. We've probably got time for just one, I think, before we're going to move on. But so Diana's asked, what tools do you use to create microlearning activities or lessons? Is there anything that you can recommend there, like to sort of that might automate it a little bit for the teachers?
Absolutely. When it comes to teachers, when I design training for the teachers, for example, I use Rise platform. I find it comfortable, yes, because it has like lots of bricks and everything, so you can just easily design the training you want, add quizzes, add links to your training, and anything you want. And I guess
I'm going to put that in here. Rise.com, right?
Rise.com.
I've just found it. Yeah, I've got it in there. Lovely, thank you.
And
I've never heard of Rise.
Students, you can use any tools that are convenient to you. For example, Kahoot. Yeah, like I guess teachers
Yeah.
these two. Yeah.
Gotta love Kahoot.
Yeah, or just put the video on the YouTube and make it accessible to your students. I guess the most important thing that we need to keep in mind that it should be quite short in order to avoid mental fatigue and have this granular approach.
Okay, all right. Uncle Jack, I love that there's someone in here called Uncle Jack, has asked a question I'd quite like to ask and just expand on it a little bit. Is it possible to have 2 micro lessons? And what do you think about this format of having 5 micro lessons next to each other? How does that marry with the research that you've done?
I guess we need to offer the choice to our teachers, to our learners. And if we make the micro lesson just aiming at this format up to 15 minutes, it's great. But like I had this experience of designing the micro lessons, and then I offered the opportunity to teachers to have access once a week. So I scheduled this micro learning and they had 50-minute lesson within a week. But I need to take into account the schedule and the time of your learners and approach it from your perspective, probably once a day but not just very close to each other, I guess, because then we lose the idea of micro-learning.
Got it. Thanks so much, Jane. I think it's finally time for you to take a breath now. So thanks for your session this morning and for this afternoon. It's been a pleasure working with you on this, and I'll see you soon. Thank you. Okie dokie. I've got a screen to share now. And I've got another person. There's another person coming. Beata, are you there?
Yeah. Hey, everyone.
Hey.
Good to see you. Good to know you are here. Thank you for coming for all of this.
Great to see you again, Beata. Thank you. So, your background is teaching. You've done it for 20 years. You've focused on exam preparation, learning strategies, designing story-based learning adventures. I love that you didn't just say materials. What do you mean by adventures?
I don't want to say too much about it, but I do make sure that the lessons turn into sort of adventures, and there is nothing ever that you can expect, and you never know what's next. And some things, the lesson might really start before you join and continue after we finished, because there are things connected to that are happening before and after as well.
That are connected to the learning. It's not just that one moment that you're doing active participation.
No. But it's all connected based on some really good story. This story might be woven around something I watched or listened to or read, and is the base of something I create out of that.
Okay. Well, I've already seen this talk and it's really good. I can't wait to see it again. Beata, have a great talk and I'll see you in about 15 minutes.
Thank you so much, Will, for a lovely introduction. Can you see just my dog and the clouds?
Yes.
Fantastic. So, hi again, I'm Beata. I love my dog. I love taking photos of clouds. And I also love finding out about how people from different professions work and how they get inspired. Directors, writers, chefs, user experience designers, artists, they all have methods and tips and tricks they swear by. And I've been teaching and lesson planning for over 20 years. So I'm constantly looking, also outside of the ELT world, for ways to stay creative, relatively sane, and not to burn out. And that was the reason behind a series of Getting Unstuck experiments that I started. Today, I'd like to share with you the first one, what inspired it, what results for my students and myself it has brought so far. And it's not a recipe to follow step by step. It's this kind of recipe where you take from it what you like, okay? You add your own ingredients and turn it into a dish that works for you. My experiment started with something I read in Austin Kleon's newsletter. He always chooses a secret sentence for each of his books. He never shows it to anyone, but it becomes a sort of North Star for this project. He also wrote that accidentally, Francis Ford Coppola chooses a single word for each of the films he directs, something that he feels is the core of the story. For The Godfather, the word was succession. This made me look for a word or a sentence that could become my own secret message, my North Star. Have you ever heard that buying and reading books are two separate hobbies? I happen to love both. So naturally, my bookcases, including the digital one, were where I turned for inspiration. And there it was, a perfect title that was a perfect word. Stretch by Scott Sonnenschein. I want to share how the word and the book have enriched my planning and teaching and probably saved me from burnout or bore out. But first, let's pause for a moment. When you see the word stretch, what ideas come to mind? Open the chat and write. Okay, lovely. Lots about flexibility, expansion, some yoga. Power. Okay. Bubblegum. Imagine some lovely ideas. Thank you for that so much. I also started with the word. And here's what I thought about. Physical stretches, that some of you mentioned, at the beginning of the lesson or as a re-energizing break somewhere in the middle. Stretching myself as a teacher, trying new stuff out, doing things differently. Stretching my students, like making sure they are the ones making the effort during the lesson, so we can squeeze out as much as possible from the time we've got together. So stretching the time in a way. Then I focused on the book. I decided to use the ideas from it to change some of my professional habits and just see what happens. Before we go into details, you need to understand two opposing mindsets Scott Sonnenschein writes about in Stretch. A chasing mindset focuses on more. Chasers need to accumulate more and more resources. They believe that success and progress are not possible without the constant pursuit of more. Chasers don't focus on what they've already got. What's important is what they don't have yet. A stretching mindset focuses on what you've already got. Stretchers assume that they already have enough and just need to find new ways of looking at the resources available. A stretching mindset, like a muscle, can be trained. So the more you practice, the better stretcher you become. You no longer need to rely on the constant flow of new and more. In his book, Scott Sonnenschein describes 13 exercises that can help you strengthen the stretch in your private and professional life. I'd like to focus on 5 of them and show you how I interpreted them for my own planning and teaching, hoping you will find something interesting that you can try out yourself. Let's start with appreciate. According to research, Scott Sonnenschein quotes in his book, expressing gratitude results in higher levels of well-being, fewer symptoms of physical illness. People who practice gratitude even exercise more often because they just feel like it. So it makes us focus on what we've already got, not on what's missing. Don't get me wrong. I'm sure, I know you do appreciate your students, but it's easy to forget different things they do or say. That's why I repurposed this jar. Now I use it to collect notes of funny things my students say, some moments or stories I'd really like to remember. And when the jar gets full, I throw most of the notes into this box, and in a few days, the jar fills up again. And when I'm tired, not in the mood for planning the lessons for next week, just wondering whether what I do makes any sense, I open the jar, pick a few notes at random. It's uplifting, but also idea generating. A lesson about pigeon spies was inspired by a note about one group's interest in conspiracy theories. With another group, we had a heated debate about the best mayo, if you are from Poland, Team Winiary here, but everyone had the same favorite ketchup. A note about that, reread weeks later, resulted in a message in a bottle lesson based on the Heinz ketchup promo campaign. An 8-year-old student of mine asked if he could have some special drawing assignments. When asked what would be the first thing he'd draw, he replied, a hot dog, of course. And I wrote it down as a joke, but then I thought, why not? So now we have those assignments when he draws. You'll see he's awesome. And I make the same thing from plasticine. And yes, we did start with hot dogs. So my hot dog is meat-free, but it turns out we both like mustard and spicy ketchup. And he's honing his drawing and English speaking skills, talking about his drawings and asking about my works of art. And I've always loved making ugly stuff from plasticine. So for me, a win-win. The second stretch workout I'd like us to focus on is shopping your own closet. Chasers chase. New books, new lesson plans, new tools, new resources, more, and more. And There is nothing wrong with trying out new stuff. But how many times have you been surprised to find out you've already had a PowerPoint presentation on this topic after you've just created a new one, of course? Or that you've taken notes of these useful phrases for some other students before, and this is actually at least the third time you've done that from scratch. In the true spirit of stretching, I encourage you to shop your own closet. Check out what you've already got and organize it a bit. A presentation you made 3 years ago might not be perfect. We change, our skills change, our students' needs change, but it's a start. How to keep track of stuff? I've started organizing things on Trello. Here is a screenshot of one of my boards with different categories in it. And there are my slides, so the Google Drive links to my presentations for easy access. The ideas section, this is the repository of links to videos and articles that might be turned into lessons. I add to it regularly, and when I want to design a new lesson, there is always something waiting for me there. So I shop my own closet also in this way. The third workout stretch that I really liked was mid-year resolutions. Many of us make New Year's resolutions. Some of us kind of keep them, some of us don't. Scott wrote about an idea of mid-year resolutions. So pausing for a moment to take stock of what went well and plan how to move on. It made me think of the excitement and the feeling of a fresh start that is characteristic of starting a new school year or working with a new client. You have all of that excitement, and then in time, the novelty wears off. You forget the promises you made to yourself a few months back, like, I'll work more with the emergent language. I'll try out this and that tool, but not a new one every single week, etc. So this year, I'm trying out something new. After I meet all the groups and students, regulars and newcomers, I think it will be next week, actually. So I'm going to write a letter to my future self with what seems important right now, how excited I feel about teaching these people, the promises, the plan. And I'll send it to my future self. I'll use futureme.org, choose a date in about 2-3 months. So I hope receiving this letter from myself will be a way to reignite the spark and will put me on track if that's needed. You can also go fully analog if you want to. So it will work perfectly well with a regular envelope that has a date on it and a reminder to open it that you put in your diary. Scott's plan backward suggestion is to do what you need to do, but without a plan. Instead of planning and then doing, he suggests working towards a goal, a project, leaving your house without a plan. Do stuff, write down what happened, compare this backward plan with what you usually would do if you'd planned the steps, and check if you've learned something new. I don't feel that great about teaching without planning, but how about planning while teaching? I don't mean the lesson you are now running. This is just winging it. We don't do it. I mean parts of the next one. Many of us write down emergent language, students' errors, useful language that we've just thought about, things to remember. Why not turn it right away into something more structured that you can use next time? This note for my student was created while he was thinking about his response to a question. This is a recurring pronunciation problem of his. So other than just drill it during the lesson, I also wanted him to practice, listen and repeat at home and then try to smuggle in the sentences with the words in the next lesson. Another example, let's say there are 3 phrases I'd like my students to use more often. I write them down during the lesson in a doc and create the gap fills in like 30 seconds. This would be sent after the lesson as a sequence of 5 images. Why? Because when they are waiting in a queue or are in the elevator on their way up to the office, they can just open the file and test themselves really quickly. And believe me, no one can say they don't have time for that. And then, of course, as a follow-up, next time we meet, the student will need to use the expressions in their responses during the lesson. Here is the final workout I'd like to tell you about. Go explore. Create your own bag of experiences, just yours, things that will make your experience different from the experience of every other person with your job qualifications or skills. It does not have to be big or pricey. Read different stuff, books, newsletters, attend events that are not strictly connected to your job. Grab a coffee with someone who works in a different part of your industry. See what they think. Learn another language for fun to feel a student again. Pick a creative hobby. Don't like it? Try another one. You'll find stuff out about the world, people, and yourself, and you'll find ideas useful in your job in the most unlikely places. Whatever you decide to explore, enjoy the process. Results of my stretch experiment. My students feel more seen and listened to. They appreciate the surprises, the personal touch. My feedback, I feel, is more focused and effective. I plan less and with more flexibility so that I have time for those bits and pieces that are follow-ups from the previous lessons. I got some free time back. I may be spending some of that making stuff out of plasticine, but hey, I like it. And I find joy in surprises and feel I know my students as people a little bit better, and I know their needs as learners a bit better. So do you have any non-ELT books you've read that you think I should pick next for my next experiment? Write in the chat, and here are some of the choices I've been considering. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Beata. Wow. It's the second time I've seen it, but just a really, really unique talk and really, really helpful. I love the array of different approaches as well. I think they're really original. I've never heard them before. And can I ask if you've obviously experimented with these, any stand out for you personally?
I think the biggest change for me was starting to write stuff down. And those bits and pieces I always remembered for a day or two when someone said something funny or when someone shared something interesting, etc. But now, because I'm keeping them, they became a treasure.
Yeah, sort of a time, a moment.
Yeah, and it's like saving different moments in time, and then if the idea doesn't come now for using this information as something special, it does come later on at some point. So I think that's my favorite, because I think that's something that has influence on so many things.
I think it's also just such a good practice to remind yourself to do as well. As you said, I'm sure I'm sure all the teachers here appreciate this.
Definitely.
But on a more general level, they appreciate X student for being this way and for doing those things, etc. But
sure,
such a good piece of advice. You just do it purposefully like that. Thank you so much, Beata.
Thank you so much.
I'm going to let you go and enjoy the rest of your day, I think. You've just
Thank you
done
so
2
much.
sessions, so thank you. Thank you for joining
Thank
us.
you so much. Enjoy the rest of the day.
Cheers, Beata. Okie dokie. I'm going to share my screen. My turn. There we go. Click, 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 click. A million clicks later. There we go. So I've got a share screen, which you will be able to see in a second, along with Melita. Hello, Melita.
Hello,
How are you?
I'm good. Thank you for having me. Looking forward to it.
Pleasure. Good to have you. So I've got a few things I've got to tell them your life story before you do your session, Melita. So you're a journalist, an audio producer, teacher trainer. You facilitated, it is facilitated by the crossover between storytelling and education. Why have you decided to dig deep on motivation for this talk, Melita? It could have been anything.
I think it's because I'm really interested between the crossover between storytelling and learning. And basically for work, I often have to ask people, I do lots of interviews about people's jobs, unusual jobs. I have to ask them, what motivated you to do this career? And also, I mean, when I'm sitting in front of a group of kids or teenagers or adults and teaching, sometimes I notice that there are some people who clearly don't want to be there, who've kind of been forced maybe by their parents to attend. And I thought, how can we unlock individuals' motivation within the class, and find out what each person is really about, why they're there to make that experience, a good one for everybody.
Brilliant. Awesome. Thank you so much, Melita. I can't wait to see you talk. I'll see you in about 15 minutes.
Yes, I will share my screen. And if there are any issues, please do tell me.
Will do. I'll stick around just to make sure.
Gonna click on share and then 1 second.
No, that's your notes, actually.
Yeah, I just need to click on this and it should work. Can you see?
No, we can still see your notes.
Okay. 1 second. I'm just gonna try once more because it worked the second time around last time.
Yeah, it certainly did. That's obviously that's the process you need to follow.
Seems to be the process. Let's see, is this working?
Yes, we got it.
Okay, perfect. All right. Okay, so welcome everybody. Thank you for joining. So this talk is all about motivation. So first of all, I want to ask everybody here, can you think of an activity that you were asked to do that seemed to have no purpose? Think about how you felt when you were doing that activity. Were you feeling kind of frustrated or annoyed? What emotions did you feel at that moment in time? Feel free to write in the chat during the talk, okay? And at this moment, I'd quite like to reference the movie, The Karate Kid. I don't know if you know this, but there is a scene called Wax On, Wax Off that you can look up on YouTube afterwards. And basically, the young boy wants to learn karate and is asked to put wax on the car and take it off. And he doesn't understand what the relevance is. Why is this helpful to somebody who wants to learn karate? Because he hasn't been told why he is doing this activity. So really, this presentation, we're going to explore the why. Okay, why do your students want to learn this language, or why are you teaching this language if you are a teacher? Okay, so I'd like to throw this question out to everybody. Why are you learning or teaching this language? So again, feel free to write your answers in the chat, which I can't see at the moment, but hopefully I'll be able to see it in a minute. Okay, so there are various reasons here, as you can see. Somebody might be moving to another country or another city, and that might make them want to learn another language. Also, somebody might want to learn English for their job, okay? Or maybe it's because of love. Maybe they've met a partner who speaks English. So I just want you to think about these different scenarios. Imagine that you are married to an English-speaking person and your mother-in-law tells you, your English isn't very good. you should really be able to speak better English. And another scenario, imagine your dream job requires you to speak English. In which situation do you think your motivation would be stronger? I think personally, it probably would be stronger if you want to achieve the goal of getting your dream job than just pleasing your mother-in-law, maybe, okay? Again, for teachers, it's interesting to think about what led you to this career. Are you just teaching out of routine because you've been doing it for several years now? And is it just something you're doing to pay the bills? Or is it actually something that you're doing because you want to help people to advance their careers and feel more confident? Okay, so these are just a few questions you can ask yourself. Great. Okay, so I'm going to run through 4 strategies that I've developed to help unlock students' motivation. So we're going to go through these, and I'd like you to think about how you can apply these as well in a classroom setting. I do primarily teach adults and young adults, but these are generally applicable to most age groups. You know, and they can be taken down a level for younger audiences as well. So many students focus on what they can't do. Okay, oh, I'm terrible at grammar. Oh, I'm awful at speaking. My accent is so strong. Okay, these are things that I hear quite a lot from students, insecurities. So really, this is about reversing these ideas. So you can integrate grammar as well into these. So if you ask pupils to make a list of what they can do well in English, okay, this is a nice way of practicing modal verbs as well, then that gets them in the mindset of, oh yeah, these are the things I'm able to do, okay? They can use examples as well, like a moment when somebody understood them, maybe the first time they ordered a coffee in English, okay? These sort of landmark moments that they feel proud of. Then as these negative thoughts do tend to exist, we can use them and turn them around. So a nice writing exercise is to get students to write a few sentences. It can just be 3 to 5 sentences, some negative ideas that they have, and then turn them into positive statements. It's a nice way of learning some new adjectives and adverbs as well. Combining that into the exercise works quite nicely. A nice speaking exercise as well is to pair up students and ask them, what would you say to a learner struggling with these doubts or problems? So this is a really good way of getting students to open up, get to know each other a bit better. It also makes people feel more included in the classroom setting, okay? So they're not alone in their problems. Maybe there are other people who have the same fears as they do. Then fixed mindset versus growth mindset. So I just want to unpack this a little bit. So basically, a fixed mindset is a mindset where you avoid growth pains, okay? So I'm going to take a nice example that I think will help to explain this quite well. So imagine you are learning English and you live in England, okay? And you need to go to the doctor. You ring the doctor and the doctor doesn't seem to understand what you're saying. He says, oh, please, can you repeat that? Can you say that once again? And you start to feel a bit anxious, okay? Because this is the first time you've spoken to a doctor on the telephone. There are 2 possible responses. If you have fixed mindset, after this call, you might think, that was really embarrassing. I'm never going to call the doctor again. I'm going to avoid this situation. I'm only going to call in emergencies because I'm so bad, okay? So you're avoiding or refusing to interact. Growth mindset would be, this is an opportunity. I'm going to learn health-related vocab and I'm going to prepare myself for my next call so that my vocabulary is better and I feel more confident and able to explain my health-related issues. Okay, good. Okay, strategy 2. This is the personal progress chart. Now, I developed this the students with a more analytical mind, okay, slightly more scientific or mathematical brains tend to like to measure and quantify progress. So this is a really nice way of starting the course, asking students to list their goals and create a little table. Doesn't need to take very long. They can do it for homework. And then as the course progresses, they can tick the goals that have been met. Okay, so they can see, oh yeah, I feel like I'm doing quite well here. You can also use a number system from 1 to 5. So 1 if you feel confident, 5 if you're less confident, and that gives you areas to improve upon. Then every week you can do a quick check-in and ask pupils to write a couple of sentences responding to these prompts. So what do I understand better this week? And write 1 to 2 things you hope to achieve by the next week, okay? So this is quite useful just to keep track of your aims. Okay, now I still cannot see the chat, so if anyone can tell me what people's responses are to this, that would be great at some point. So, which inspiring people can you think of who learned English as a foreign language? So,
I'm here, Melita. I'm going to read them out for you.
thank you.
You're welcome.
So, I mean, I've written a couple down, like Penelope Cruz, for example, Arnold Schwarzenegger. This, you can share inspiring people who are not famous as well.
So we've got me, as in the person in the chat, not me personally. The person in the chat said me, them.
Great.
Joseph Conrad,
Uh-huh.
my secondary school teacher, me, myself.
Yeah, great. I like that people are referencing themselves because that's something I'm going to talk about, that it doesn't need to be someone who's super famous. There is more written material about famous people, okay? If you take someone like Malala Yousafzai, for example, there is quite a lot of written material, and she obviously learned English as a second language, so that's a nice example. So
we've had Shakira twice.
Shakira, brilliant.
Got to give Shakira a mention.
Very good.
My husband, my girlfriend, my teacher from high school, Modern Family's Gloria, Sofia Vergara.
Yeah, here we go. We've already...
Eminem.
Eminem.
And Shakespeare. I think they speak English as a first.
I have a feeling a couple of those might speak English as a first language, but hey, inspiring nonetheless. Thank you, Will. The reason I asked that is because I think it's important to share success stories. These can be related to personal experience, okay? Because people like talking about themselves, okay? I can vouch for that as a journalist. When you're interviewing people, some people do not stop talking, okay? So it's good to ask people about people that they know, maybe in their family, maybe if someone comes from an immigrant background, maybe there's a story there, okay? Maybe there were a few struggles. Really get to know your students' relationship with English, okay? Is English spoken at home? Is it not? Okay, these are interesting things. Reading material, okay? There's loads of material out there, like I said, about celebrities. Like I recently read that Penelope Cruz, when she moved to the United States, she could only speak 2 sentences in English, okay? So if you look at the progress that she's made now in films, it's quite incredible. Invite speakers to come to your school. These can be, you know, people from the community. It could be somebody's grandmother. It doesn't need to be someone famous. And share jobs boards, okay? Make it clear that actually learning a language can be really beneficial for your career. And it doesn't need to be a job that is related to languages. If someone's interested in being a doctor, it could still be really useful to learn English, okay? So make it inclusive. And the last one, okay? Grammar is something that many people don't enjoy, okay? Many students groan when they know that they have a grammar class coming up. So one thing that I quite like to do is to pair grammar with stories that motivate people. So using visualization, people can think about situations that they would like to happen, okay? What would they like to do with their English? What job would they like to do? Maybe they would like to use their English to communicate with a family member who they're unable to talk to at the moment. And maybe that family member is old and they don't know how much time they have left. Like, these sorts of considerations are really interesting and can help people. So then it becomes more than just a grammar point. Now you can take stories like I mentioned a minute ago, these success stories, and, you know, remove prepositions, and then the exercises about prepositions. We can use phrasal verbs to talk about things. We can use the future tense or the conditional to really talk about these visualizations. You know, with younger students, this can be done in a song format. You can write a text like song lyrics, so you're kind of visualizing what you'd like to do with your English, or who you'd like to talk to, or the friends you'd like to make. Okay, so it really can be used for different age groups. And yeah, the reason that I sort of decided to talk about this topic as well was because I'd been reading a lot of self-development literature, and I noticed that, you know, these concepts about Dharma, okay, and sort of finding your purpose have really been quite popularized over recent years. And you do see lots of purpose-driven literature related to careers. Okay, you've got things like Find Your Why by Simon Sinek, okay, but you don't have that much really about language learning that combines language learning with purpose-driven psychology. Okay, so it's this idea of really bridging the gap and considering what the people in your class actually want to get out of the experience. They may have lots of different goals, but if you know those goals, and particularly if you set writing exercises that they then hand in, you can really research. It's like a research project in a way on what your students aim to get out of the course and who they are, okay? And it helps you to actually plan the course in a way that's more beneficial to them. So in a way related to Beata's topic, okay, that you can really cater to specific individuals within the class and find topics that people have in common and really focus on those topics. And I think it's really the idea of making people not feel embarrassed, making them feel open to share and talk about their own experience, and acknowledging that people do come from different backgrounds, that learning English for some people might be more of a struggle than for others. And it's really just taking in all of these factors into account. So I'm just going to do a quick recap before we finish. Okay, so that's apply positive psychology, personal progress chart, share success stories, and grammar through visualization. So if you would like to contact me, this is my LinkedIn QR code. Okay, feel free to scan. And yeah, I also have my services here. And I'm going to go back to the QR code if you want to contact me. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Melita. What a talk.
Thank you.
That was a really, really good, I really like the angle of that talk. It was really interesting and loads of helpful advice. You're getting lots of thank yous in the chat.
Oh,
you couldn't
thank
see
you.
it. Couldn't see it, but
I'll look at the chat afterwards. I need to work this out for the next talk.
Yeah, do. Just scroll back up. Scroll back up. You'll see all the love pouring out from the chat box.
Oh, thank you.
So Melita, do you apply this to yourself so you're talking about how to do that with students. So talking about the teacher for themselves as well, do you think you could apply a lot of that to them and their own sort of motivation?
Yeah, definitely. I think, you know, there are moments like for anybody when you feel a bit tired and, you know, you've got material that you've been using for a while, or maybe you've been using a textbook. And I think it's nice just to add in, I mean, these ideas, it doesn't necessarily all need to happen in one lesson. You can pepper them through to actually give you that added extra that maybe you've been missing as a teacher, because, you know, maybe you're familiar with the material but you're not familiar with the students. And I think that's an opportunity to get excited about your job again.
Absolutely. Yeah, no, I completely agree. So, well, thank you so much, Melita. We need to move on if that's all right. We've got two more talks to go, and you're here again this evening. So if you want to see Melita talking tonight,
I am back.
Later. She'll be there. Thank you so much, Melita, for putting that together. It's great to have you here.
All right. Thank you for having me. Bye, everybody.
See you. Okie dokie. Oh, I've done the wrong clicking first. Here we go. Okay. Share, 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 click, 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 click. Sorry about this, everyone. There's 10,000 clicks you need to do anything. There we go. Hi, Christina.
Hi, how are
Welcome,
you?
welcome. Good, thanks. Welcome to New Voices. Welcome to the stage.
Thank you.
So I'm really excited about this talk, Christina. It's a really unique talk. I've been looking forward to seeing where you go with it. I know a few of your secrets, and I'm looking forward to seeing what you do with them when we're doing our getting ready bits. So you're an author and founder of the Factory of English Resources. What's that? What's the Factory of English Resources?
It's my website. It started like my Instagram account to share some resources, and now is my website where I share. I will share because I'm starting now some resources, and I also sell my books and my I teach some teachers that need my training or something like that. But everything is starting now. So
Okay, so why this sort of, you got a huge focus here on film, right? Film in the classroom using
yeah,
video to learn languages. Where did that stem from, Christina?
I've always liked the audiovisual thing, and I've always did like touch through recording my students so they can play with role playing and drama and all that stuff. And yeah, all my peers always ask me how to do it, and that is how I have started this kind of training for for the teachers.
Brilliant. Good stuff. Well, have a lovely talk, Christina. And I'll see you in about 15 minutes.
Okay. One sec. One moment.
I'll just stay here with you, Christina, just to make sure. I'm here.
Yeah. I'm just trying to share the presentation. But I don't think you can see it right.
If you just present that, we'll be able to see it. We saw
Yeah,
your camera screen.
the problem is that when I press it today, I don't know why, it keeps with the whole, I cannot share with you at the same time. I don't know why.
Can you press present on Canva and then share it on Zoom?
When I'm gonna try with the others. But I've got two screens, and maybe that is the matter. Okay,
While you're doing that, Christina, I
there
think
we are.
you got it? Got it. Okay. Have a great session, Christina. See you in a bit.
Thank you. Okay, so good afternoon, everyone, and thank you for joining me this session today. My name is Cristina Argon, as many of you could know me as the Factory of English, and here is some of my background, my teaching experience. For me, I absolutely love writing. I contribute to Speak Up magazine. I have published 2 books, and I'm about to publish 2 illustrated children's books. I'll will release them very soon. But what I really want to share with you today is my passion for using storytelling and filmmaking and drama in the classroom to teach English. That is what I most like. So that's what I'm exactly here to show you today. But before we dive in, I would like to know, do you use or have used drama in the classroom? I can't see the answers, but I hope you're using it. If not, I really hope you will teach more. Okay.
Mostly yeses.
Yeah,
Christina, mostly,
okay.
mostly yeses, a couple of no's.
Thank you, Will. So here's a quick look of what we covered today. First, we'll see the power of filmmaking in language learning, and we will explore how it supports the learning. Then I introduce two amazing tools. There are tools that are Chromavid and app. And I try, because it's very difficult here at home in a live session, I will try to teach you how to use them. Additionally, if we have time, I will teach a little bit stop motion and dubbing, followed by the conclusion and the questions and answers. Okay. Whether you have used drama or not, combining it with filmmaking can transform language learning, especially for young English speaking language students, because film creation allows students to practice English in real creative ways through scripting, acting, and editing their own videos. It's very engaging for them and helps them build confidence in speaking. That is quite difficult in those ages. So it makes learning more interactive and more fun. Today, I'll show you how drama and techniques like chroma key, stop motion, or dubbing can unlock fluency and confidence in English. We'll teach English that's very practical and in general, like English that we can share with the family, because children love when their family can see them at home. Let's go on. Here we are. Now let's dive into two fantastic tools that make filmmaking easy and fun in the classroom. They are app and Chromavid. This app allows students to create engaging videos with special effects and even place themselves in virtual environments, helping to bring their stories to life. Let's start with Chromavid. Here, sorry. Here. To get started with Chromavid, let's talk about the basics, what we need. First, you will need a green screen. This is quite simple. This can be a green sheet, some color paper that is green, and it could even be blue or red, although I haven't tried them because I usually wear like red or pink clothes, so it's better that it's something green behind you. I have something here green to show you. I also recommend to use a tripod like this one. I don't know if you can see. Okay. And we have to choose a virtual background. I'm going to try. I'm not sure if you're going to be able to see this, but I'm going to try. You have to choose a virtual background in the app so the students can record the scenes, bringing the ideas to life with special effects. Now let's see how with this app, a green screen and a green or blue backdrop, we choose. One moment, I will try if we cannot see it because I think it is because I have now. Oh, I have to keep close, I think. I don't know. The thing is that we have to choose a background. For example, I can choose this one. I'm not sure. This is so annoying. I imagine. Will, can you see it now?
No, I think
Because I
Christina,
thought,
if you're
yeah,
able to change
I'm gonna
your
try. So
background,
one second.
you can change your background so that it's not blurred, so that it's
Mhm.
normal background.
Eh,
Um,
eh, eh,
if you click on the arrow next to video, do you see that where you have all the Zoom buttons? If you click the arrow next to video, it says you should see adjust background and effects. Can you see that?
I think, one moment, I think if I stop here, sharing is easier. Oh, I don't see it. I always use it, but now I don't see it. Sorry, where is it?
So on the Zoom, can you see the Zoom controls?
Yeah, sure.
Can you see audio and video? It's on the far left. They're the far left options on the Zoom controls. It should say audio and video.
No. I mean the sound not the, yeah, but one moment.
There
Okay,
you go.
now
Got it.
there we go. Sorry.
That's all right.
And now I have to do it from here. Sorry again. Okay. Here. Okay, so you can see here the background, and this is the green screen I've got here for you. So the only thing we need to do is to record something, for example, this animal, we can put it here. And one moment, let's prepare the camera. And what we are going to do is just to record the video like it's happening right now here. If we don't want to show our hands, we can use, for example, something green with us. I've got a glove that I don't have right here, but it is like this code is on this paradise. So it is quite easy to record a video with our students. Oh, can you see it? I don't know. It's quite
It's just because of the
in a
reflection,
window.
Christine. I think
Yeah,
that's probably going to be a bit tricky to do that. I think it's
yeah,
just
it's
so
quite
difficult to
difficult.
get the right.
So it will be like this. And if you see what is here is just a green screen. There's nothing else. So it is quite easy to do when we are in a classroom, but it's a bit tricky to show live from home recording at the same time. And so instead, I'm going to show you a video I've got here that I recorded yesterday, last night with my daughter. Is here. So it just that is, I didn't want to show any of my students' faces for privacy reasons. I've got 100 videos, but I didn't want to show them here. So in this example, I just recorded, I just filmed her. I filmed my daughter using a green screen. And later I changed the background using the app called CapCut you've got here. This is another tool that I highly recommend that you can try out for video editing. That's it. This is just some tips that you can take. It's easier than it than it seems. Now, let's place here. Okay, let's see how to use the app. Quite difficult to pronounce. And I'm gonna say 3 exciting things that you can do with the app. And first is that both teachers and students can create interactive presentations. Second, that you can move and resize yourself on the screen, and so you can perfectly fit in your lesson. And finally, this really boosts engagement and makes learning more fun for everyone. So I'm going to try to teach now a live demo of app. Let's see. Sorry. Video here. One moment, I'm just trying to use up. Okay, here I am. Surprise. Isn't it cool to teach our students or to show our students a presentation using this kind of tools? And it can look very weird, very difficult to use when we see that other people use them, but it's not. It's so simple that you're gonna see right now. I'm using two screens, so I can use both Zoom and the app. So if I look here, I'm just looking to the other screen. Okay. I want to show you all the things we can do here. For example, let's see all the backgrounds we can pick. For example, we can be here like talking with like to our friends, like hello cows, how are you? We can even fly. Okay. Hello. We could we can, let's see, because here I think I have to run. Like we can run if we are in a video game. I can be an astronaut. And look at this. We have frames here on the top that we can make this like a circle. And then we change the colors until, look at this. Now it's much better. I can come closer like this and okay, I'm an astronaut right now. So you can see it's so much fun. And I love this one. I think this is my favorite because you must feed the television. Your students could talk about the news, about the historic event, like historical event, something about the past. And there are more effects here on the top right. We have non-black and white, slides, compliments. We have all film. Look at this. It's like it's so nice. Like I love it. I love this effect. This is my favorite. There are much more here. Let's change the old effect, the old film, because now I am a fairy living here in this fairy tree. I could show you like all of them. This is quite funny. Like I could be here in a haunted house, or I could go another one that I really like. That is, where is it? Where is it?
Christina,
Tell me.
very sorry, because I know you can't see the chat. I've got to give you a 1 minute warning.
What? Sorry?
You've got about 1 minute left.
Okay.
Cool.
Okay, so let's go back to to Zoom. Okay. Let's share 1 second. Okay, I had this. Can you see me now? No. I had this extra information to do a stop motion or dubbing, but I don't think we have time now. So well, I really want to know if this tool has given you new ideas for future projects. I can see the thumbs. Okay.
Yes,
Thank
yes,
you.
absolutely. Lots of yeses, Christina. I don't think
Thank
you can see the chat. Lots of yeses. People are asking, is it free?
Okay. And the last thing I wanted to say is like, is very important, like as a conclusion. I wanted to show myself on the train, but I don't have time. So I don't gonna spend more time. Like students really learn the teamwork when they are using filmmaking. They learn critical thinking, and they learn how to self-assess, how to evaluate their mates and themselves. So learning through drama is fun and is science-backed. So it's the future of English teaching. And with all that, I want to thank you for being here with me today. It has been quite difficult. And if you have any questions or concerns, I'm really happy to hear from you.
Thanks so much, Christina. Wonderful, wonderful. It's really great to see it. Really cool, actually, to see those. I've never seen those tools sort of being just used in front of me like that. So thanks very much for putting that all together. Much appreciated.
Yeah.
So we have got a few questions. If you were going to ask them to put together a video, a film of some kind, what sort of time frame are you looking at there from beginning to end of post-production?
Like at school, you mean?
Well, I suppose I don't know if it's school or not, but how long do you think it would take in hours? How many hours do you think a class of students would need in groups to
For my students, what I do is each unit is around a month. So what I do is like the last week of the month is to record the videos. Sometimes we do like recording themselves. Sometimes we just dub to put the voice to another video that they have already made, or like, for example, we can use Bluey or Nemo or something like that. And sometimes we do a stop motion with some, I had here, but I don't find it now. We can use even puppetry, like puppets. And so with 3 lessons to record, because before everything, what we do is I give them the script. If they can they can change some things of the script. They can write their own opinions if it is something about that. They can finish the story, and then we started recording the video. And for that is like 1 day or 2 most. Like, and then I edit them, but it's not difficult. I even have some students, like the high ability students, that help me with that. They are even, I mean, they do it so easy, even better than us. So
I'm sure they do. I'm sure they do.
Yeah, they help me.
Brilliant. Thank you so much, Christina. That was a really, really helpful talk. Did you have a final slide with any sort of your LinkedIn or your website or something you wanted to share?
No, it's just that.
Okay.
It's this. That's it.
Thank you so much, Christina. It's been wonderful having you on New Voices. Have a nice rest of your day.
Thank you.
Cheers,
Thank
Christina.
you.
Okay. I always say okay like that in these middle bits. Okay. Okie dokie. That's a bit nicer, isn't it? There we go. All righty. Let me get this view up sorted. Hello, Bruno.
Hello, Will.
How are you?
I'm absolutely thrilled to be here and flabbergasted by all the previous talks. So I feel a lot of pressure, so a lot of weight on my shoulders by the quality of the talks that precede.
You're in good company, Bruno. You're in
I
good
know
company.
I am. I know I am.
I agree on the standard of the talks, though. Haven't they been great? And I like how varied it's been as well.
Absolutely, absolutely. Yeah.
And we're ending with an absolute tangent. We haven't got anything addressing accessibility at all through New Voices apart from this talk. And I'm really excited to see you specifically talk. You came across really well on your submission, and I'm really excited to see what you do. So you have had various roles: a school owner, a developer, researcher, a coach, and a trainer. You're dedicated to creating dyslexia-friendly teaching strategies. Why are you dedicated to that?
In a nutshell, I started as a researcher. I worked on several European projects on innovation and language, like teaching and learning. In one of those projects, I got in touch with the topic of special educational needs, and my area was dyslexia. So I had to interview a lot of dyslexic people and a lot of their parents and Senkos and stuff.
Right.
And this is when I realized I'm dyslexic myself. And
Wow.
I didn't know until I was about 47 years old. And I could
No.
see
Wow.
the utter frustration they have with learning languages. And this is when I said, okay, I have to do something with this. I have to do something to help these people. That's why.
How did you feel?
How did or how do?
How did you feel when you realized that?
When I read it, an utter relief.
I was wondering if it was.
Yeah, absolutely a relief. This is what the majority of neurodiverse people will tell you, either dyslexic or ADHD, when they know there's something. I'm not going to say something wrong with them, because that's taking it maybe the wrong way, but they know there's something different about them, about how they perceive the world, how they do stuff, and so on. And they just don't know why. And then when they realize, oh, so my brain just works in a different way. That's it. That's all it is. And actually something they're going to say in the talk as well.
Yeah. I think over to that. Bulo, I can't wait to see this. Have a great talk.
Good, wonderful. Well, neither can I. And first of all, welcome everyone. Thanks, Macmillan, for having me here on New Voices. And to all of you teachers out there, I would like to start with a big thank you, but most of all, a big congratulations. Congratulations for waiting for almost 2 hours in this New Voices session to see me and to listen to me. But also congratulations for wanting to improve, to wanting to be there for your students, and to want to become the best teacher that you can be, because dyslexic students, all students, but most of all dyslexic students, need people like you. I'm going to share my screen. Let's see if this works, which should. There you go. So, my name is Bulo van der Pol, Dutch from birth. I've been living in Spain for 30 years, and I dedicate my time and my life to helping language teachers and language schools in understanding dyslexia, in recognizing dyslexia, and in working better with their dyslexic students. Now, one of the things that I do for my work is that I attend conferences, I attend webinars like this, and a lot of face-to-face conferences as well. And I remember last year in one of the conferences, I did a 45-minute talk on dyslexia. One of the teachers came up to me and she said, "Oh, Bulo, loved it. Beautiful talk, beautiful story. But honestly, dude, it's not that important." And I said, "Excuse me, not that important for what reason?" And she said, "Well, I mean, I've been teaching for 25 years now, and I've seen many students, and of all my students in 25 years, I really think that if I've had like a handful of dyslexics in my class, I think that's it. So there's not that many dyslexics out there." I said to her, "That you know of." Because the big problem of dyslexia is that we don't know who is dyslexic and who isn't dyslexic. To give you a percentage, it's estimated that 10 to 15% of the population has a dyslexic brain. That's 10 to 15%. So that's also 10 to 15% of your students. The problem is you don't know about this. And it's not your fault, because nobody ever taught you how to recognize dyslexia in your students. And this is probably one of the reasons that you're here. Problem also is, and probably even bigger, that neither do your students. As I said before, I'm dyslexic. I didn't realize until I was 47. And this happens to almost 80%. So 8 out of every 10 people with dyslexia. They don't know about their dyslexia until maybe later on in life, or probably even never. What happens to these people, what happens to these students, is that by their teachers in general, they are labeled as a lazy student, a class clown, a disruptive student, an unmotivated student, a thick student. The student that you would say of, she can do, but she just doesn't want to. So she could if she wanted. And the problem is that the students believe those stories. So the students pick up those stories, and they believe that they are a class clown, they believe they are motivated, they believe they are lazy, and they believe that they can if they wanted to, and they believe that they're thick. And it comes to a point that I remember a couple of years ago, I received a phone call from a mother, because I also offer language courses for dyslexic students. And the mother calls me and says, "Bulo, you're my last resort. You're my last opportunity for my child. I spoke to him this morning. He's 15 years old. He's very dyslexic. He's absolutely struggling with English, and I'm going to sign him up to your classes. But the poor boy this morning over breakfast, he said to me, 'Mom, forget about it. Don't do it. It's not necessary. Because for me, English is a closed door.'" Now, this kid's 15 years old, right? 15 years old. And for this kid, English is already a closed door. Now, in this talk, in the next 13 minutes, more or less, that I think we have, we're going to have a quick overlook at what dyslexia is. We're going to have a look at how you can recognize it in your students. I'm going to give you one big takeaway, one big red flag of how to recognize it in your students. And I'm also going to give you 3 strategies that you can use with your students in the class, both your dyslexics as well as the non-dyslexic students. And at the end, I've got a little present for you as well, something that you can read over the weekend, you can enjoy, and you can build on the knowledge of teaching English or teaching languages to students with dyslexia. Now, first of all, if someone would ask me, Bulo, how would you describe dyslexia? For me, the easiest and the best way to describe it is that dyslexia is a different way of the brain in processing the information it receives. A different way of the brain in processing the information it receives. Now, I'll explain it very visually, very dyslexia friendly. Imagine that learning language, anything in life, is nothing more than taking information from neuron A to neuron B. Yeah, that's what learning basically is about. Now, forget about the brain, forget about the neurons. Let's talk about villages. So neuron A becomes village A, neuron B becomes village B over here. And when learning, we take information from point A to point B. Now, I'm going to describe 3 brains to you. The first brain takes information from point A, from village A to village B in a Ferrari. 250 kilometers an hour, 5-lane highway, extremely fast. This is very much like an autistic brain. This is like an autistic brain. For process information, bang, speed light. Now, the next brain I'm going to talk to you about is a brain that processes the information with a normal, smaller car. Now, depending on where you live, Italy, it's probably a Fiat. If it's Spain, it's a Seat. It's maybe a Ford if you live in the States, etc., etc. So a Volkswagen when you live maybe in Germany. So a smaller car, you maybe go 80 kilometers an hour. It's a normal road from point A to point B, a normal speed. Information travels in a normal way from one place to the other. This is like a neurotypical brain. So neurotypical is everything that is not neurodiverse. Now, the third brain, you'll guess this is obviously a dyslexic brain, looks like this. Dyslexic brain takes information from point A to point B on a bicycle. So leaves the bicycle from point A, cycles to point B. But when you're on your bicycle, you don't have the speed from the Ferrari. You don't have the constraints of the road of the 2 cars. You can take a detour every now and then. You can maybe even sit down and relax a little bit, look at the mountains or look at the pond, look at the ducks and the flowers and the trees, etc. You can either just choose to enter village B from a different angle, from an opposite angle than you usually would, because you're on your bike, you're very flexible. So what I'm saying is that it's not that the dyslexic brain can't process the information. I'm saying that the dyslexic brain processes the information in a different way, sometimes slower, and usually in a different way with detours and approaching things from different angles. And this is very, very important to understand when you work with dyslexic students and when you have to create empathy and understanding for these students. Now, when someone asks me, how can I see, how can I know if one of my students is dyslexic? I will say, like, if you, there's a whole list of things. There's a whole list of items that you should look for. And in my teacher training, I obviously train teachers to be able to recognize that whole list of items. But if you would ask me for one big red flag, I would say it's unexpected. And with unexpected, what I mean is the following. And I'm going to make this very, very easy as well. I like to explain things in a very simple way. Now, imagine that language learning is nothing more than a combination between vocabulary and grammar. I know it's much more, but just for the sake of argument, it's learning vocabulary and learning grammar. We're back from holidays. We're back in school, new academic year. We've got our students in front of us. They're like 14-year-old B1 students. And we ask them, hey, guys, well, let's do a warm-up task. Let's talk about your holidays. Just tell me about your holidays. And you've got this one student who starts rattling away for 5 minutes, 10 minutes, 15 minutes, beautiful vocabulary, idioms, amazing grammatical structure, and talks and talks and talks, and you go like, oh, wow, I think this student should have been in a different class. This is B1, but his conversation level is definitely B2. Maybe I should speak to my director of studies. But luckily you don't, because the next class, you've got the same group of students, and this time you tell them, guys, we're going to do a similar activity from last class, so we're going to talk about our holidays. We're going to do something about our holidays, but in this time, it's going to be in writing. You're going to write about your holidays, just one page, one A4, just write me about your holidays. Basically the same what you did on Monday, but this time in writing. And what you get back from that same student is this. You get 2 mere paragraphs, very, very simple grammatical structure, actually always the same grammatical structure, very simple, low-level vocabulary. It's more towards A2 than actually of B1 level vocabulary, and very strange, and you would even say stupid spelling mistakes. So you would really say, like, what happened with this student? Like this, and now unexpectedly this. This is when you would actually say, I know he can do more if he wants to. Why? Because I've seen it. I have seen him doing this, and now he's giving me that. Now, the thing is, and this is all about dyslexia, he can do more if it is in speaking. He can't do more if it is in writing. So that is for you the biggest red flag to recognize and understand dyslexia in your students. As I said before, dyslexia has a whole list of items, a whole list of items that you should look for when you want to look for dyslexia in your students. The thing is that what we usually look for in our students are for the weaknesses. We're looking for the things that the students can't do. So in this picture, we are looking at the island of weaknesses. And Dr. Sally Shaywitz, she's a very renowned American researcher on the field of dyslexia. She describes dyslexia actually as an island of weaknesses in a sea of strengths. And the problem that many teachers have, the problem many students have, parents as well, Senkos, etc., is that we face the island of weaknesses, but we forget about the strengths in the sea. So we stand with our back to the sea. And very important, what I've seen with my students as well, it is so tremendously important. We should never forget about their weaknesses, but we should understand their strengths, and we should use their strengths in our teaching them English. So everything we do is about the strengths of these students. Now, I'm going to give you 3 tips, 3 things that you can do in class to make your classes, to make your material, to make everything more dyslexia friendly. First of all, obviously, use less text and use more visuals. You can see from my slides, the text is limited. I only use the text that is really necessary, the text that I really need. And I try to use as many visuals as possible. I'm not saying 10 visuals on one page, but visuals where they are needed and visuals that are coherent with what I am teaching at any given point. Color coding. Color coding is key for students with dyslexia. Color coding is amazing. I use, and my teachers, we use color coding for almost everything. Color coding for teaching grammar. So when you teach the ing ending, my INGs are red or my INGs are green. Doesn't really matter. You choose the color, but be coherent with your color. If you make them green once and red the second time, your student will get completely confused. Colors for important words. When we have a text and the student has to analyze the text, and there are 4 or 5 keywords, so there's key vocabulary in the text, I will make sure the key vocabulary has a different color or will be highlighted. Or when we work on spelling, like here in the word colors, I will make sure the OU, which is a difficult thing in spelling, I will make sure that that has a different color. I will make sure that is highlighted. Because what I want to do, I want my student's brain to know instinctively, my student's brain to know exactly where should I go, where should I focus at any given time from what I'm seeing here, either on a screen or on a piece of paper. What is the important thing I have to focus on? And with color coding, this is what we're telling the brain to look at, to focus at. Chunking. Chunking is also extremely, extremely important. I say this to teachers all the time. Chunk your lessons, chunk your lessons. And then in my trainings, they give me lesson plans. They go, oh, here's the lesson plan. Look at it. I chunked it down. And I said, how big is this chunk? And I said, 20 minutes. I say, chunk it again. It should never be more than 10 minutes. One part of the class we talked about, that you listened to, you heard this in the micro lessons, should never be more than 5, 7, or maximum 10 minutes. One item is a chunk. So if you can break what you want to teach, if you can break it up in 3 items, because there's 3 things that need to be taught, that need to be understood by your students, make it 3 little chunks of maybe 5 or 7 minutes, a small activity in the middle, like a brain break, and then the other chunk. Chunking, using colors, less text, more visuals, very, very important items to use with your dyslexic students. Now, remember what I said at the beginning of the talk. Remember what I said about 12 minutes ago when I talked about this boy and the boy that said English was a closed door for him. His mother signed him up for class because she was stubborn enough to say, okay, although English is a closed door for you, I'll pay for it, so I'm going to sign you up anyway. So he did come to class. Now, classes were online. First class, he would have his microphone off. He would have his camera off. He would not participate. Second class, the same. Third class, he would participate a little bit, maybe put his microphone on, respond in Spanish. Fourth class, respond in English. Fifth class, put the camera on. 6th, 7th, 8th class, start participating a little bit more and more in English. This is a very tedious process, but students with dyslexia can and will learn English if you want to and if you know how to teach them. Now, the beauty is that in the month of February, March, more or less, the mother calls me again and says, Bulo, guess what? I sat him down over breakfast this morning and I asked him, I said, how are you doing with your English? And the boy said, you know what, Mum? I think the door to English is finally opening. Now, isn't that beautiful? That a 15-year-old boy who starts in the month of September thinking he's lazy, thinking that he just can't do it, thinking that he's thick when it comes to learning English, with a few tweaks here and there, with some very good, well-directed strategies, also emotional intelligence, 6 months later, starts learning English and can see the opportunity of learning English for the rest of his life. Now, if you want to do the same, if you want to learn how to do the same, if you want to be that teacher that can really work with that 10 to 15, remember 10 to 15% of your students with a neurodiverse and dyslexic brain, you can follow me on Instagram. I've got a lot of videos on Instagram talking about dyslexia, talking about teaching and tips as well. You can look me up on LinkedIn and you can download this guide. This is my free guide on teaching languages to students with dyslexia. Congratulations again. Congratulations for being here and congratulations for hopefully becoming the teachers that will and are going to make a difference.
Cool. I almost heard an applause there below. I swear I heard clapping.
Thank you, Will. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you so much. That was really, really inspirational. Thank you, below.
Thank you. No, thank you. Thank you. Thank you for the opportunity.
A pleasure. Can you see the chart? Can you the chart? Can you
no,
see the
let me see. No, I cannot open the chat.
Try to. You're getting a lot of...
Yeah, no, I can. Yeah. I see all the thank yous. Thank you, everyone. Yeah. But if there's any question, I'm not sure if there's any time for that now. Or
there are that we have. We've got a few minutes, but let's.
Good.
Let's. So there was a couple of questions around what to do if you think someone might have dyslexia in your class. Once you've seen a red flag, maybe how long do you just sort of report it? Do you just sort of tell people at that point? Is there a certain amount of time that you think you should wait and observe a bit longer?
Yeah.
Are there black
Okay,
and
so
white?
what I advise teachers, what I tell all the teachers that come to my courses, is that teachers are never diagnosticians. So that's not our job. It's our job to recognize possible. I think it's our job to recognize possible dyslexia in our students. It is our job to be able to act on it. It's our job to be able to teach that student effectively. And there's one thing that I didn't say in my presentation, but whatever you do for your students with dyslexia, if it is in teaching strategies or classroom management or adapting material, it also works for your non-dyslexic students. So it's never an and or, and it's always an and. You know, it's always it's the dyslexic students and the other students as well. So when I would see something in a classroom, I go, oh yeah, I think it might be a dyslexic student. First of all, go through the whole list that I give in my training, but go through the whole list, the whole checklist of items and see how many boxes the student ticks.
Okay.
Talk to your colleagues as well. Observe the student over a period of time. Start working with the student. Start working with the student with dyslexia-friendly strategies. And then if you see that the student improves a lot more due to your strategies, then pick it up, because then you approach it from a positive angle. We have to bear in mind that dyslexia has a very, very bad and negative stigma basically all around the world. So imagine you're a parent of a 12-year-old and their English teacher calls you up and says, oh, by the way, I think such and so, because the name's there. I think such and so is dyslexic. So hearing dyslexia and your child's name in the same phrase, I mean, that's disheartening. But if you can call them up and say, hey, listen, I've been working with your son or daughter for the past month, 2 months, and I've been trying to use different strategies, and I see that he's improved here, there, and you look at the strengths. Remember the sea of strengths, and you look and you really focus on the strengths of that child, and then you tell them, and by the way, I've tried to use dyslexia-friendly strategies because I think that maybe your child might have dyslexia, which is maybe not bad because of all the strengths here. And that's approaching it from a completely different angle.
I'm so sorry for the ignorance here, but
No.
Someone asked about this, and I just wanted to
Yeah.
know. I had assumed that dyslexic was not a spectrum. Is it?
It is a
dyslexia
spectrum. Yeah, you can. I myself, I'm mildly dyslexic.
Okay.
And there's a saying that goes like, if you know one dyslexic person, you know that one dyslexic person, full stop. So if you know one dyslexic person, you don't know all dyslexics. It's like, I obviously, I'm a member of many dyslexic international organizations and research groups, etc. And many of us are dyslexics. So it's always funny to tell dyslexics in a room. But and we all have different symptoms, so it all works out in a different way, because then we start comparing how does this work for you and how does that work for you. Oh, I have this, and I have severe time blindness. Oh, but I'm really bad in focusing, and I'm really bad here, etc. So, and yes, it is a spectrum. So you can have very dyslexic people, also very mild dyslexic students.
Okay.
Yeah.
Your
I just saw
website-
one question
Yeah,
from
hello.
Gil Pereira, and this
Go
is a
ahead.
very good question. Thanks very much, Gil. Question is dyslexia hereditary? Yes, it is. It is hereditary. Actually, on my checklist of dyslexia, question one, is there a family history? So what happens a lot is, and I've seen this before, that a teacher comes up to a parent and says, or to a mother maybe, and says, oh, I've been observing your child and I've seen such and so in your child. And then the mother will go like, oh, just like her daddy, you know? And then you go like, yeah, but that's not a tick, you know, because it's hereditary. Absolutely.
Yeah. Okay. But I think we need to stop there. Sorry, but your website isn't working. I've just put in your LinkedIn.
Okay, good. Thank you.
So
maybe it's too many people on the website at the same time. Could be true.
Could be. Yeah.
Yes.
I mean, a lot of people are saying they can't. A lot of people are trying to access it. But anyway, there's his LinkedIn. I've just put it into the chat box. So if you want to, you can save that at least, and then find his website through there. I'm assuming. Bulo, thank you so much. What a talk. What a way to end this session. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you.
Pleasure. Okay. I'm going to share my screen. Just give me a sec. Sorry about this, everyone. I'm nearly there, I promise. I don't like dead air. There we go. Nice. Okay, so we are almost there. We're almost there. So thank you to all of our speakers, all 5 of them today. It was really, really insightful. A really diverse array of talks as well, from people from everywhere. And that's what I love about New Voices. I think that it's so diverse. We've got people from all over the world. And I feel that we've really tapped into some really interesting passions. I think that's the best thing about New Voices, is that we've got these voices. For example, the 5 people that you just saw who are so passionate about something, and those are things that are worth sharing, things that people are passionate about. So I just really want to thank those people for putting a lot of time into these presentations. Although it's just 15 minutes, you might argue a 15-minute presentation takes longer to prepare than a 60-minute presentation. And thank you so much for putting all those talks together. They were wonderful. And yeah, I can't wait to work with you all again. So we're about to close it off, and I just want to share a couple of things with you. You clearly like teacher development because you're here. And I wanted to share 3 upcoming events we've got for you. Firstly, at the beginning of November, actually, because we've got 3 events. The first event is about young learners. Put a yes in the chat box if you teach young learners. We're talking about the sort of primary school. So let's say from 3 to 12 or 11, those sort of ages. Do you? If you don't, say no as well. I don't want to just get lonely yeses, but if you don't, also just say no. Okay, cool. So if you are a teacher of young learner, or young learners, plural, 1 or many students, we've got a festival. It's our very first Young Learners Festival. It's going to be from the 4th to the 8th of November. This is launching today, by the way. We haven't promoted this anywhere. This is literally just, the website's literally gone live today, where you can register now. There's the link in the chat box. I think there's a link popped up somewhere else on your screen as well, invading your screen like that. But anyway, just go to macmillanenglish.com as well, and you'll find all of the events there. We've got 6 talks spanning the week, spanning 3 days, talking about things like developing learning habits from a young age, how to get assessment, exam preparation practice kind of not explicitly, so implicitly during your lesson planning. We've also got lessons on SEL as well, developing writing skills through grammar, a whole array of stuff. Go and take a look. We've got the whole program on the website now. You can register now. Please do. Then we've got Teens Day. Same again. Are you a teacher of teens? Yes or no? I'm going to try and remember all of your personal previous responses. Are you a teacher of teens? Nice. Nice. Okay, and we've got this event, so Connecting Teens Day. So this is an event kind of all around helping build cohesion in your teen classroom. So like Melita's talk, we'll be talking about motivation. That's always, that you can't really have a Teens Day without talking about motivation, so it will be there. We're also talking about handling the early teens, sort of big emotions that people through puberty feel, and how you as a teacher can deal with those in class when they're at the lower end of the teenage spectrum. You can have a look at the rest of the schedule on the website. Please do. You can register now. Finally, we've got an Educating Adults Day. You can see the trend here. So we've got 3 separate sessions. We're looking at teaching online. Actually, we're having a whole session of best practice from teaching online. We've got one talk that does a deep dive on a couple of AI tools that will help make your time as a teacher more efficient by using and getting used to these specific set of tools. So it's not a spreadsheet full of different tools. It's a couple that we do a deep dive on to really show you what we're doing there. Anyway, Educating Adults Day, register now if you want to. We're going to send you an email within a week with your certificate. If you're on LinkedIn and Facebook, unfortunately, you can't get this email if you're just watching on Facebook and LinkedIn. If you would like this, though, you can still register for the final session this afternoon, evening, wherever you are. There's one more session coming later. If you come to that, we'll still be able to send you that certificate and virtual goodie bag. If you're on Zoom, certificate of attendance and your virtual goodie bag will come to your email within about a week. And that's it. I think we should get the other speakers back on. If you're there, are you there? Are you there? I want to bring everyone back on. You're back on stage. I see you. We're just waiting for Evelina to pop you back into your box on the screen. Everyone's got a box. And let's say a nice goodbye to everybody. Have you had a great time, everyone? Please say a score out of 10, actually, while we're waiting for that to pop up on the screen. A score out of 10, please, for new voices. 11, best score. Lovely stuff. Hello, everybody. I can see you all now. Hi. Thanks a lot, you lot. Thank you so much for your talks. That was really, really informative, fun, and inspirational. Thank you so much to all of you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
You're very welcome. 10 out of 10. I completely agree. So you can't really say anything else. If you're doing a big celebratory hoopla at the end of an event, you can't say, I'll give it a 6.5 out of 10. But no, thank you. Thank you very much. Thanks, new voices, and thank you, audience. We'll see you again soon. Thanks for coming. Bye.
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 Bye.